Hello my friends, in this building Russia lost nearly 600 soldiers just after one Himars rocket attack of Ukrainian army, and it's the huge tragedy for Russia. Let's discuss the case. As we know for now, this college building was used by Russians as barracks for their mobilized soldiers. Those soldiers mostly came from the Russian Saratov region. So basically those soldiers were ex-civilians without fighting experience, and they were thrown to fight in Ukrainian war. Still, they had the choice not to go to Ukrainian war. They could refuse, yes, maybe with some of the circumstances for their lives, but still it's better than die. And today, wow, Russia admitted that they lost some of the army men in that building. They speak about 63 soldiers. And that is the obvious false statement from the Russian officials, because according to those satellite images and the videos that were taken from the scene, you can see that nothing was left from that building. You may say that the building was small, but no, it was huge. Let's go to the picture again. Here you can see it's actually massive. It's like a big hotel, but actually it's the college. And you may admit that it has some sort of the classes. Yes, inside there are at least 4 rooms. I think there are 6 rooms, but let's say for one wing there are 4 rooms, and in each room you can put around 25 soldiers with a double-deck bed. Okay, and let's not take the ground level because it's the big hall there and probably the dinner room or something. So we speak about the 2 basic stories here. So for each wing there could be at least 200 soldiers, and if we speak about 4 wings, because this is the square building, here we speak about 800 possible soldiers located in that one. And according to the information about that college, per single time this building was designed to accommodate around 500 students. And why not 800? Well, because some of the classes, they're just laboratories and some of the equipment is there, and Russia just got rid of that and put their soldiers inside. And today I was monitoring the Russian media as well. Yes, I do it also. I need to check the other side. And there is some blogger, I wouldn't say that he's pro-Russian or something, but I think he's against the current Ukraine mindset, let's say, and the current government together with president. So he's a kind of enemy to our president. His name is Anatoly Shari, and I'm not watching him constantly, but sometimes he puts something interesting which goes in a conflict with Russian official media resources and some of the reporters from the front lines. I'm not saying that no one pays Shari from the Russian Federation, but anyways, I cannot prove that he got the money from the Russian Federation. And Russia went mad on his today's post because he stated that Russia lost around 600 soldiers over there because he got the connection with the DPR, Donetsk People's Republic, and the soldiers from the DPR were involved for the search and rescue operation. And in one of his posts he said that they already recovered more than 500 bodies, and some of the body parts are just hard to identify. So there could be around 600 soldiers who lost their lives. It's a tragedy, obviously, for the Russian army and for the Russian Federation, and it became the tragedy for the Russian society. And here more with his post, because he said that he connected with the relatives of the soldiers who lost their lives there, and those relatives say that soldiers called them before, around 5 hours before the attack, and they say that the commanders of the area knew about the possible rocket attack on the base, and they called to the headquarters, but they haven't received any kind of the commands from the headquarters, and they decided to stay in the base. So that was the conversation between Shari and the relatives of some of the soldiers who lost their lives. At least I understood that from his post. And he admits that the Russian command was at least partially responsible for the tragedy, and he called to the relatives to get the evidence, I don't know, SMS, calls, whatever, but most of the relatives say, no, we do afraid. It's kind of strange for me because they just lost their sons, fathers, husbands, and they still afraid to provide the simple evidence that may prove that the Russian command was wrong here. Oh my god, Russian society is so frightened by the Putin's regime. And with the help of their relatives, he also might confirm the number, 600 soldiers who lost their lives, but he said he already knows the number because he got the communication with the DPR people who were responsible for the search and rescue. And partially we got the confirmation from the ex-Russian military Girkin, who is responsible for the drowning of the MH17 in Ukraine. He said that Russia lost hundreds of soldiers, not 63, but still he said that he will not tell the exact number. So then I look through the Russian or pro-Russian media, I can definitely say that there is the war ongoing between many kind of the power sources inside the Kremlin and the Russian army. I see the pure hatred between those powers, and you know that Russia has not just the Russian military, they have the Wagner group, they have Ahmad army that belongs to Kadyrov, they have a private army of Shoigu, and each group has their influencers and they just hate each other. And this case with the Himars rocket attack on the Russian barracks shows that they're really divided, that Russia itself divided, the government is not as solid as in Ukraine. And while I'm recording this video, the explosion of the Russian ammunition depot was reported in Svatove. Our army tried to get that city under the control like 3 months ago, but due to weather conditions, lack of resources, we still stay very close to that city, and there will be plenty of the other explosions on the Russian controlled territory because they have the simple tactics. They gather their soldiers in one big building. Unlike Ukraine, when we use the small households, we group our soldiers there maximum by 10 people, and if they need to change the soldiers from the first front line, they just go and change, and those soldiers who already fought hard, they go to the small households, and those are hard to be identified and hard to be destroyed. At least you will not lose that many soldiers as Russia lost recently. But for Russia, the only solution is to group their forces into the big buildings because they're in lack of morale. Those mobilized soldiers, they don't really inside, they don't want to fight. They were just civilians like few days ago, and now they need to go on attacks on Bakhmut, lose their lives there as well. So if you put them to the small households near to the front lines or maybe behind the front lines, you'll see that after the real war experience, they will not go and fight. So most of them will just stay there, hide, run somewhere without the proper control. So they group the soldiers to have the control over them. And obviously it's not safe. Ukraine had this similar strategy at the beginning of the war, and yes, because of that we lost many of the soldiers, unfortunately. Russia launched their cruise missiles targeting our barracks as well, but we have never had those losses, like 600 people per one time. It's just crazy. And you know that Russia is going to announce one more massive mobilization. Probably they will hire around 500,000 soldiers for the possible next try to get the Kyiv under control, or the north part of Ukraine, or Donbass. So far we don't know, but we know for sure that it's going to happen. Russia simply doesn't have other variant how to secure their positions, and obviously they're not gonna win with that number of the soldiers, but for some certain period of the time, few years, they may secure the lands that they already took, or as I say to you, try one more big attack and lose it. So the attack on Makiivka will not boost the morale of the future mobilized soldiers, and they didn't try to hide, so they openly walk across the streets to the shops, they put their armored vehicles just near to the building, and moreover they had also the ammunition storage inside the building, and that is why the building was totally destroyed, not mainly because of the Himars, but because of the ammunition they stored there. And the vast part of the Russian society went mad on the Russian defense minister Shoigu, because clearly he is in lack of the competence, and also because this video was published today. So it's the New Year celebration in one of the restaurants of Moscow, and I was told that probably he is not the Shoigu, but I'm 90% sure that he is, at least from this distance. The video is kind of bad quality, but I still think that it could be Shoigu, and the video maybe published from the previous years, probably not from this one, but also could be from this year. And in that case, my friends, it's very cringy, because at the same time he was dancing, many Russian soldiers just lost their lives in Makivka. And just right now, Russia responded, attacking Ukrainian ammunition depot. So it happened in Drushkovka. Here you can see the building, it's on fire, and I hope we'll have more video explaining what is there. But clearly it's the big hangar, and I'm sure that not many people were inside. Could be armored vehicles, weaponry, ammunition, everything, but not many people. And we have the video from inside of that particular hangar, my friends. Unfortunately, I cannot show you the full video on YouTube because there's the fire, and I can put it only on my Telegram channel. And by the way, subscribe for me over there. The link is in a video description below. There I update the current information more frequently. Today I did like 20 posts over there or something, and I'll show you the screens. From that I can see the huge pipe just lying on the floor, but not the signs of the armored vehicles. The main thing that building was not the residential one, it was some sort of the storage of something. Still, it's better to lose shells than people's lives. And this is the Ukrainian Himars. Yes, they got some extra lights because they work far away from the front lines. Behind them, the range of the rockets is 80 kilometers at least, and I'm sure that it was some sort of the PR campaign from our military to humiliate the Russian soldiers. And at that particular time, Putin announced his speech to the Russian people, greeted them with the New Year, and at the same time, these particular Himars fired the rockets to the Russian base in Makivka. And this video simply shows that Russia cannot do anything with the Himars rocket artillery systems. They cannot destroy them, even if you light them up midnight. Also, they're not able to protect the lives of their own soldiers behind the front lines, not even saying about the fight itself, then they have severe losses. But war is war, and we also have severe losses, my friends. I wonder what is the real number, but it's much higher than it is announced by Ukrainian officials. Then they speak about the losses of Ukrainian army. I think that figure is close, at least 30 up to 40,000 soldiers, unfortunately. Because many of my Ukrainian mates, they lost their lives or been severely wounded. There are many of those cases, my friends. And also I subscribe to the many of the Telegram groups, Facebook pages, even though I don't have my official Facebook, but I just checked out the information from the Facebook, and there are lots of the funerals. And basically, then I was in Ukraine, then you just pass by the cemetery, you can see many flags on the graves, fresh graves, and it's just terrible what is happening in Ukraine. But obviously Russia has many more losses because they have less modern equipment in their army, and also they use the mobilized soldiers in their army. And those soldiers, if you can put the word for those men, they were not trained properly to conduct the real war scenario, to go on attacks. That's why they have many more losses than the Ukrainian army. And in this video you can see how lucky this Ukrainian soldier is. So the bullet went into his helmet and went outside. You can see that there's the Kevlar on his helmet, but those helmets were not designed to stop the bullets from the sniper rifles, and also AK-47 can easily penetrate the defense of the helmet. Maybe it can stop the pistol bullet and also some sort of the shrapnel from artillery shells. So the guy was really lucky. He just got the scratch on the top of his head. That's it. It's a miracle. President Zelensky said that Russia is getting ready to attack Ukrainian infrastructure again very soon. They're gonna use the Shahid drones mostly because they evacuated their strategic aviation from the Engels airfield, and for them it's harder to attack Ukraine with the cruise missiles. Then they don't use their strategic bombers from the Engels airfield. From what I know, that Russia has around 200 Shahid drones in their army, and if they launch this huge armada at the same time, Obviously, they may devastate the Ukrainian infrastructure, the most part of it, but still they need to coordinate the launch points, the time of the launch, and Russia is very bad in coordination. We got the reports that Ukraine took the Potomsky Island near to Kherson under control. It's kind of big piece of land, and also we have the video shot by our soldier with the Ukrainian flag over there. Still you can see some of the houses on that territory, and it's still kind of important piece of land because here it's not far away Kardashinka, which is already on the other part of the Dnieper River. So Dnieper River goes over here, and for us it's just a few kilometers away from the Russian positions. About the military map today, no changes. However, Ukraine managed to start the attack on the Crimea military bases. At least Ukraine tried to do it. There were explosions reported in Simferopol, Gvardeyska airfield, Sevastopol near to Orlovka. There is the Belbek airfield, also in Jankoy, but those explosions were because of the Russian air defense systems. They basically fired to target drones or something that someone launched on Crimea, and basically no ground explosions were reported. It means that probably Russia shut down everything that we or someone launched on Crimea. But nevertheless, I'm gonna keep you updated on situation in Ukraine. Now, if you want to support this channel, just press the like button. If you want to support me financially, there are some of the links in the video description. You may support me as usual on Patreon, PayPal, or Donatello, whichever is more convenient for you. My friends, thank you so much for your help. I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.